Her boyfriend's mother forced her to have a baby and then stole it from her, and then she was unalived. This is the horrific and twisted story of Vera Jo Regal. Vera was just 24 years old and she had a mental disability, which gave her the mind of a young teenager. She was living in Findlay, Ohio with her boyfriend Zachary Brooks, who at first seemed to be a caring, loving, genuine boyfriend. But he brought her into his family's world, which was a dark and chaotic home run by his mother, Cherry Sugar Babe Brooks. Cherry was a woman with a history of neglect and violence, and she reportedly groomed Vera into living with the family. She did this because she could take control of her disability checks and, most chillingly, forced her to carry a child, only to later claim the baby as Cherry's own. Inside that home, Vera was beaten, starved, humiliated, and emotionally tortured by almost everyone that lived there. They forced her to clean the entire house on her hands and knees, belittled her for her disability, and neighbors say that calls to CPS and 911 were ignored. For days, possibly weeks, this went on and was ignored by authorities. Then in early March of 2011, things escalated. This is a little confusing, but follow with me. Vera's boyfriend's cousin, named Daniel Blixer Jr., a convicted, by the way, and his teenage girlfriend Nicole Peters came into the home and joined in on the torture. Over 4 days, they beat her mercilessly, made her drink and eat vile substances that I will not go into detail on, and even stomped all over her body, before finally luring her to a nearby railroad bridge where they stuck her to death and left her on the tracks. On March 27th, a train engineer discovered her body. She was bruised and nearly dead. Police thankfully quickly arrested Daniel and Nicole. Daniel even led them to the which they threw over the bridge into a river. They both confessed and pleaded guilty in 2012, with Daniel receiving 40 years to life and Nicole receiving 23 years. Vera's boyfriend Zachary only got 4 years for helping with the cover-up. And to make it even worse, Cherry, the one who is believed to be the architect of this horror story, never got charged with anything related to Vera. Not the unaliving, not the torture, nothing. She was only convicted and given a prison sentence for selling years later. Cherry was never held accountable for the torture of Vera, and just in general was ignored by the systems who were meant to save her. Vera was vulnerable, caring, and hopeful. She trusted the family that took her in, but instead faced unspeakable cruelty from the people who should have protected her, her boyfriend and her boyfriend's family. Vera Jo did not deserve any of it. She was preyed upon because she was defenseless. And even when people suspected, no one got to her in time. If justice for Vera Jo Regal means anything, it means exposing the failures and holding them accountable. Thank you for listening to Vera Jo's story. I would love to hear your thoughts on this case in the comments. This was an absolutely horrific story, and it absolutely broke my heart that this poor innocent girl was treated so horribly. If you have any suggestions, this little girl was stolen away from her family at her sister's high school graduation, only to be found unalived in a supply closet. I do need to give a trigger warning right here that this video involves the unaliving of a child. Please take care of yourself, your mental health matters. Also, just a quick disclaimer that I'm just a girl, I'm not a lawyer, and all of this information is publicly available. Beatriz Angelina Mota was a 7-year-old girl from Petrolina, Pernambuco, Brazil. So sorry if I butchered any of that. She lived with her parents, her father, Sandro Mota, who was an English teacher at her school, her mother, Lucinia, and her 2 older siblings. Beatrice was a cheerful, affectionate little girl who loved school and loved spending time with her parents. Her mother said that Beatrice had a curious spirit, and people in their community remember her smile. On December 10th, 2015, Beatrice accompanied her parents to her older sister's high school graduation. Thousands of people were present. At one point, Beatrice did what she had probably done 100 times before. She asked her parents if she could get a drink of water from the drinking fountain, and of course, her parents said yes. So Beatrice went and disappeared into the crowd, and that would be the last time that anyone from her family saw her alive. And the drinking fountain that she went to was near the high school's gym, which was right around the corner from where the ceremony was happening. It wasn't like she went all the way across campus to a water fountain. She literally was going to one right near the ceremony. Just about 40 minutes later, she was found unalived in a supply closet. The reports say that she had been... Initially, there was a rumor going around that she had suffered 42 but it was later released that she only suffered 10 distinct wounds. This became highly speculated because the autopsy had 42 photographs of the 10 wounds, but because there were overlapping images, that led to some confusion. Investigators found no sign of SA. The crime took place in a part of the school that was rarely used, a place that was thankfully later modified after this incident so that it could not be as easily used as it was. Security was minimal at the event, and people say that the school's security gates were insufficient. Cameras had blind spots, and some of the security footage was erased. Authorities discovered a man in a green shirt who was captured on camera walking around suspiciously near the school's fountain and bathrooms right before the crime. People remembered seeing a man in a green shirt displaying odd behavior and moving very weirdly throughout the event. Despite these sightings and suspicions, years passed without any real movement in the investigation. This case, of course, rightfully haunted Beatrice's family. Her mother was relentless in pushing for justice. She protested publicly, demanded for a better investigation, called out police corruption, and even walked hundreds of kilometers to raise awareness for her daughter's case. Luckily, in January of 2022, a breakthrough came when forensic analysis by the Pernambuco Scientific Police matched DNA evidence from the weapon at the crime scene to a man named Marcelo da Silva, a man who was in prison for other crimes, including the SA of a child. I'm going to go ahead and say he did it. Marcelo did confess to unaliving Beatrice, saying that she saw the sharp weapon, screamed, and then he attacked her in a panic. The prosecution is treating it as unaliving with triple aggravation, with the motive considered vile with cruelty and dissimulation presented to her defense. This part makes me laugh. Recently, the courts denied a motion by Marcelo's defense to dismiss the entire case or prevent it from going to a jury trial. Hello? LOL. However, they ruled there is enough evidence to send it to a popular jury vote, meaning that regular citizens will decide his fate. And I hope he gets the worst sentence possible. However, so many questions still remain unanswered in this case. How exactly did he get inside the school and move inside the school so freely? How did he get into that supply closet? Where did the security footage go that was deleted or erased? Was there more than one person involved? Did he work alone? Did he have someone else kidnap her, bring her to the supply closet, and meet him there? So many more. And also, Beatrice's family still presses for the accountability from the school, law enforcement, and local government for what they say was negligence. Beatrice was just 7 years old, full of laughter and dreams, a little girl who had so much life ahead of her. Her family continues to fight for answers, for justice, and so that no other child's voice is left in the dark. That is all I have on this case. I hope he gets the worst sentence possible. I couldn't find out what his official sentence was, so if you can find it, let me know. Otherwise, I post true crime videos just like this one, so if you enjoy this type of content, follow so you don't miss my next video, and please stay safe out there because you never know what's right around the corner.